Hello, everyone. I'm Diego. Nice to meet you in case you don't know me. Otherwise, of course, nice to meet you in case. I hope it's working. As always, when I'm trying to stream, if any one of you followed me before, you probably know that I'm not like the most expert streamer ever. So if you're actually seeing me or if you are hearing me, I can ask you to write anything, anyone on the chat. I'm writing hi. There we go. Okay, yes. I see there is someone. I can see that they are seeing me. As I say, I don't always know if it's working. People that probably follow me, they know that I have to do these things every single time. I don't know how streamers do that. But in any case, thank you for being here. Thank you for giving me your time and to be interested in my book. So this is a very basic Q&A section. Is 1 hour long, so it's actually very quick. It will go that. Hello Giuseppe, hello Profondo Blue, hello Daniele, hello Sai. Hopefully I didn't butcher any of your name. And as I say, this is a very basic QA section. It will go in a flash, so don't worry about it. Yes, it's working. Thank you so much for telling me that. As I say, I literally have always no idea how if it's working or not. This is like the craziest part every time I go live on something. It's a QA for my book. So if you're interested in any question about the book or anything about how I wrote the book, why I wrote a book, or what's inside the book, or how to use it, who is the target audience for it, or other question related to the information on the book, you can see the index of the book. I can post it on the chat if you want. If you don't have it, I will quickly get it so you can see it. And yeah, so if there is any question, feel free to ask. Otherwise, I will just slowly starting talk about it a bit. Let's just wait a second. So just in case, this is the link, so you can check it here. There we go. And okay, so no main question at the moment. No problem. Let's say it's an hour, so it's gonna go super fast. So why I wrote a book? Okay, why I wrote a book? Well, I always kind of thought writing a book about game design because I think that there are lots of great books in game design. Absolutely, lots of really good book. 21st Century Game Design, The Art of Game Design of Jesse Schell, of course. There is also okay. First question: to understand your book, some kind of game design knowledge is needed. Oh, okay, thank you, Giuseppe, for the question. Actually, no. Is no specific knowledge of game design is required to use this book. However, it does require a bit of knowledge on the gaming world in general. So this book is doesn't have any part on oh, this is the game industry and or this how you do games specifically. This is very focused on game design. I want to do something in the future about game design production, sorry, game production, game marketing, or in general, like let's say indie world. But this is very focused on game design. So if you have any kind of knowledge about how software is made, any kind of software, or how games are made a bit in general, so you can understand some basic element of it, that's it. You can use this book without any other big issue. Otherwise, instead, if you have like zero knowledge of gaming industry or anything, I do suggest to read other book or maybe watch some YouTube videos on how video games are produced, what is the role, and that's how you can like get this book. Oh, Diner Law. Okay, thank you for being here, Diner. And yes, the book is already published. You can wish list at the moment, and from next week you can pre-order it, and it will be sent out in basically January. Because, well, honestly, that's been a learning curve for me too. I just discovered that's how they do it. So in general, that's how it's been done. In case anyone is interested, also, sorry, I was forgetting about that. Give me a second. You can, there we go. Sorry, I'm just checking stuff on. There we go. There we go. You can use this code. I'm gonna put it into the chat to get a discount, because last week when I announced it, there was a discount for the Black Friday, but Black Friday is over. So this is another discount. Is 20% discount. Yes, the 20% discount at checkout. So you can also merge it with other. In the meantime, as I say, if anyone has any other type of question about it, feel free to ask me, and I will get back on the concept, how it came out. So I always thought about writing a book, but I never actually did it until this moment. But then I got contacted thanks on LinkedIn. So once again, I think this proves how in any kind of on industry right now, networking is fundamental. I got contacted by LinkedIn, by Will, that is from CRC Press, and he said, "Hey, I follow your talks. They are cool, stuff like that. And why you don't write a book?" And that's how actually I decided, okay, it's time to actually write a book. And how I wanted to write this book, it's a bit other question. It is a thick as game balance, or you can actually bring it around. Oh, okay, fantastic game balance. There we go. This game balance, I always have it next to me because it's a fantastic book, highly suggested to anyone that already has knowledge on game design. This book does require knowledge on game design. It's Brendan Romero and Jan Schreibs, fantastic author and fantastic designer. No, it's not as thick as this thing. No, this thing's you can use this one for self-defense if you want. You can kill people with it. This is right. The weight of knowledge. How they say in Italy. No, my book is not remotely close to this one. This one is a 800-page book. Mine is 300, more or less, including thank you, forward, and things like that. So yeah, you can carry it around, and actually that was the design. The idea why it's called Game Design Tools is because this book, as I say, is less about how games are made in general or my philosophy on game design, which I want to write eventually. This is literally tools. It's a collection of techniques. There are some completely original mine, some are unknown, some are used in other different fields like sociology, psychology, or economics, that I think every designer should know, and they are used to specifically fix a problem. Also, in the link that I send you, the one where you can buy the book, in the at the end of the link, you can find the support material. These are examples. This is something that I really wanted to write in this book. Is you have exercise like in challenges for game designer for Brendan Romero, but you also have the solution to the challenges. So that's something that I really wanted to do because I love challenges for game designer as a book. I have it, and it's also signed by Brendan Romero. But in that book, they give you exercise, and no one, of course, it's a book. No one can really correct them, tell you if they are right or wrong, which always felt a bit weird to me because hey, I did an exercise from the book, and I have no idea if I'm doing the right thing or not. So in my book, you have exercise, but you can also have the support material that is free to be downloaded by everyone, people who have the book, people who don't have the book, just to see it, and they can use this to confront it to what they have done and basically using it to better understand the material. So there is the 9 whys technique, for example, one of the exercise that is free to download, which is a technique used to self-interrogate yourself on basically your design idea. Big Five, which is a target audience technique. Few document examples, so how to write a GDD, how to write in high vision, how to write these things. The MDA, which is mechanical dynamic aesthetics, which is a very common design philosophy, which I decided to recover in my book because I really believe that most of designers don't really know how to properly use MDA. Most of designers know how to use MDA, mechanics, dynamic aesthetics, in a conceptual way. Like, okay, mechanics leads to dynamics, and dynamics leads to aesthetics, and that kind of like makes sense. But actually, how to use it in a scientific way, in a more logic way, ordinate way, not many designers know how to do that. That's why I wanted to add in my book. Then we have operant conditioning. It's absolutely fantastic technique. It's super important. Once again, lots of designers know the concept of it. Hey, it's operant conditioning, but they don't know how to actually transform it into a design tool. And it's, well, of course, that's my opinion. It's one of the best design tools that is out there that can really fix so many design problems. You just need to apply it, and it works so well. Quantic-friendly archetype, another technique for target audience and in general video game analysis, and the theory of planet behavior, which is a fantastic technique to to basically do a confrontation between similar object or similar decision in games. Things like, I don't know if the player will choose Cup of Destruction A or Cup of Destruction B, and you want to actually kind of make both available, both usable, then you have to use the theory of planet behavior. Of course, if you want to make one overpower and the other useless, which is fine, it makes the player feel intelligent, you can do it. That's not a problem. In the meantime, if there are other questions, of course, always feel free to write it down. It's a QA, so the more questions you do, the better it is. I'm always happy. Is the book in Italian too? Actually, sadly, no. I know it's a good question. In the future, I will do one live per week. I will try to keep Wednesday as live. And of course, if you have a question in Italian and you want to be answered in Italian, feel free to ask. No worries. Specifically, the book, no, it's not in Italian. It's fully in English. The publisher, as I say, CRC Press, which is I'm very happy to be published by them. They are super important, but is of course an international publisher, so the book is full in English. Now, it's not an academic book, so it's written in a very understandable English. I'm not saying that, I don't know, like you have to have a perfect knowledge of English to understand it, but you need to understand English. The book is in English. If you want to see what kind of level of English is, once again, I suggest you to download the support material, which is free, and you can read it, and that's the level of English of the book in general. So if you can read the support material, which is free, so you don't have to buy the book, you can just check it, then you are fine. If you can't read that level, no, maybe it will get eventually, I don't know, in Italian, if it will be successful. But as I say, this is an international publisher, so they asked me to write in English, which, by the way, was incredibly difficult. So, Vivin, sorry if I butchered your name. In case does ask, actually, oh yes, I can actually use this. Does the book focus on system design or level design? Fantastic question. Absolutely great question. Not on level design. The book is not on level design, and just in general, you will never see me specifically write a book on level design, as I'm not an expert. I believe that sharing knowledge is important, and I believe that you need to be good in what you do to share knowledge, and even better to write a book. And I don't consider myself this good in level design. I think the knowledge that most of level designers know, the one that you can learn from the most common books and things like that, but I don't think that I have the experience to do level design. Does the book cover system design? Yes, it does. It does cover system design. Once again, as a tool, so it's not specifically on system design as a philosophy or how to make a system design, but there are few elements like the nudge theory, the emotional theory, or praxeology, which are very useful, or the theory of planet behavior, which is very mathematically oriented, which is on system design. So it does cover it a bit. Once again, another question from Alta Mistral. Once again, sorry if I butcher your nickname. It's not my intention, but it happened. You will need English to fulfill any professional ambition. Start with English to move to game design after that. Yes, I absolutely agree. In general, if you want to work in gaming, but I think in the world at this point, but let's say just in gaming, you need English. Now, I'm not great in English. You probably noticed that I have a very strong Italian accent. It's just what it is. But you need English. You need to understand English. You need to speak English. You need to be able to have a conversation in English. Now, you don't need to be the best English speaker or an English lecturer, but you need to understand English. That's something that it's important. And yes, I absolutely agree. Not only in gaming, in IT is the same. But I think honestly, in the world, it's the same. At this point, something that I guess is something good that came out of the pandemic is that there is remote work. Lots of my students do work for non-Italian companies from Italy, and it's great. It's awesome. I think that's something honestly really really cool. And they do it because they know English, and that's really open so much. Also, there is lots of way to learn English right now. Of course, you can do courses in most of the cities in Italy. You can do online things. There are apps that can do that, and you can do Erasmus. You can go for weeks or months and working and studying it. So that is honestly a great way to learn. So I think it's very very important. So David Montevecchi, okay, David, I can pronounce that. I'm pretty sure that I didn't butcher that. Are there any section on UX and UI? Great question, absolutely fantastic question. Not on UI. There's nothing specifically on UI. I didn't have. I didn't want it to add it specifically UI in this. I think it's very important UI. I think it's very under expressed as a content, but this one was was the first one that I wrote it, so I wanted to be very specific because I wasn't even sure if I was good enough to write or how to write a book. Not that I'm an expert now, but at least I have some concept of it. So not specifically on UI, but yes, there is user experience, especially in chapter 15, which is emotional game design. Really covers a lot on how to use and create UX, and praxeology once again, which is very connected to the user experience because you have to understand the mind of the user before doing the experience. And then one from Giuseppe. In your idea, your book could be used as a manual to apply game design principle to something like serious game and extra game. So not specific to the game industry. Yes, yes, great question. Absolutely yes. This book is not specifically on game design only for commercial. It's game design theory in general. So you can apply it to board game, to ARG game, alternative reality game, to video game, and to serious game or to educational game, because there are techniques to solve problem, to better understand. For example, self-determination theory is a technique that can be used to increase the stickiness of your game. The stickiness, it's what people call retention in mobile. It's kind of the same thing. So whatever is the thing that you want to increase the stickiness, that can be a board game, it can be a video game, it can be an art game, it can be a serious game. If you want to increase the retention, the stickiness, self-determination theory is the best way to do it. Instead, for example, uh, MDA and framework is fantastic for, and there are more than MDA framework, there are various framework. Frameworks are fantastic to understand how to make a game to a specific audience. It doesn't really matter what audience is. It can be, once again, a mobile audience, board game audience, can be any type of audience. It helps you for that. Uh, can you give us an overview on how you found material for the book and the challenge of organizing in a current discourse? Ooh, that's long. Thank you. Thank you for asking. And it's very interesting. So most of the material of the book come from my own research. If you have followed me in my previous lives, and even now, I can tell you how much I have them. Just give me 1 second. I tend to have lots of tabs open. For example, in this moment, I have 98 tabs open. on my computer on Vivaldi. I do constant research. I consider myself a scholar in game design. I think I love game design. Game design really, I mean, it's something that I love doing it, but it really helped me to improve my life outside work too. Because understanding the mind, in the case for the player, but also understanding my own mind, really helped me to modify my, let's say, habit loop, my loops, and the way I think, and have a better life. So most of these tools come from my own research. Other tools are a bit well known from psychology. For example, the self-determination theory, the operant conditioning, the habit loop. Other are the game design pattern tools, which come from a research of 2006. And most of these things are tacit knowledge in the industry. What I mean by that is that do various designers know them, but they are kind of like sparse around the world. So what I did is I took my own tool and then I started to confront with friends, the one that also say thank you in the book at the end, and asking that, hey, when you have this problem, when you don't understand why the game is not fun, what do you do? What tool do you use? I started to collecting a certain amount of tools, and I decided to take the most, let's say, used one or the most common one and add them in the book. Now, how to make them into a coherent discourse? Yeah, that was very hard. First thing I have to say, I have to say thank you for the editor because they really helped me. They knew that I didn't wrote a book before. This was my first time, so they give me a methodology to follow to better understand how I was doing things. So they forced me, for example, to do the index first, and then after the index, they forced me to think about the pedagogy of the book. So what is the teaching method that I'm trying to do in this book? And by doing that, I changed the content of the book because, oh yeah, if I want, and my pedagogy was explain exercise confrontation, which is what I do in my class. I'll say, okay, yes, if I have to make a confrontation, I need to have exercise, and I also need to have material that can be used to confront the result. And so certain elements can go out of the book because there was no way to create a confrontation on that. And in time, it took like 2 3 months to actually have an idea, a general idea of the book. I decided that I wanted to start with a few concepts which I think are not expressed in book right now, which weren't about specifically the production of video game, but this, let's say, romantic vision of the game designer. The game designer as the idea person, the game designer as Miyamoto, as Kojima, which is true, but it's not the most common profile of game design that you see. So that is the first part, is the introduction of what I believe and what other designer believe is the, let's say, common professional game designer. And from that point of view, it evolves into tools and how to understand theory and then transform theory into a practical object, into a practical document, or into a practical framework that can give you answer. Finally, the last part was cakes. I know it's weird, and I made a joke also on LinkedIn about it. The more I was writing a book, the more I was basically using culinary example to explain certain of the process, certain of the philosophy, or of the tools. Not specifically only on cakes, in general culinary. Maybe that's because I'm Italian, but this is because I'm Italian and I like cooking. But the more I wrote it, the more I use it, the more I kind of like started to like the idea that yes, maybe cuisine, a chef in some way, uh, it's a similar metaphor, maybe an easier one to understand because it's more visual, it's more connected to our direct sensation because eating is a direct sensation. And then it become the main metaphor. So my suggestion for writing a book is probably that is what helped me the most: finding a metaphor, finding a story, or something that can use to give example. And then by using always the same story, always the same example, you get coherent and you get actually understandable. I'm not into professional game design ambition. I just like Diego talks, and I would like to go a bit deeper. Yes, absolutely. If you want to go a bit deeper, as I say, this one is really useful. The book for any type of design, but it's in English. So once again, if that's something that you are comfortable with it, do it. Non-book related question: did you check any videos that Sakai uploaded on YouTube recently? No, not yet. Actually, I have to. I do have like lots of video that I need to check from Sakurai, from also um, not Markiplier, Game Maker Toolkit, NGDC. I have been actually a bit behind on videos because, well, honestly, work. I can't complain. This year has been a fantastic year. 2022 has been probably my most awesome year work-wise. Lots of projects. I recently released a board game for Italian market and a smaller board game for the Italian market and things like that. So lots of work. Sadly, means that I didn't have time. But luckily, there is the holidays soon, and I will probably spend watching videos. So where can I buy your book? Great question. I will put the link because I don't know if the link get deleted or if you'll arrive late. But I just put the link into the chat, and here you can pre-buy. As I say, it's not, you will not receive it until January, but you can pre-buy, and if you want, you can use this code. I'm gonna link it here to get a discount. 90 tabs. How many are lo-fi background music? No, actually, none of them is background music. All of them is Wikipedia, Coursera, YouTube videos that I have to check, or a blog from Gamma Sutra, Game Dev, other LinkedIn blog. They have to read and they have to do research upon it. As I say, I really love learning anything, and I think lots of this stuff is it's amazing. Like as I say, this concept of the book of the tool, cognitive, psychological, and practical approach is coming really from that. There are so many tools that are used. Tricks 30, which is fantastic. Tricks 30 is a methodology invented by the Russian during the Cold War by engineer. So engineer, practical engineer, so people that can build, I don't know, cars. And they created these things called Tricks 30. Now it's actually been updated. Now it's called Tricks 45, but it's kind of the same thing. And the matrix. And it's a matrix in which you have two problems and you check the connection between the two. And then there is a series of sentence, like super quick one, that can give you a suggestion on how to solve a problem. Like, give me 1 second and I will load it and I will share it. Tricks 30 matrix. And these things that come from, once again, from Russia and from something that it's not game design. It's actually super useful in game design and in general in design. It's okay. Just 1 second. There we go. And new matrix. And just is loading. Give me 1 second. Probably streaming and loading and doing this stuff is not the easiest or fastest thing to do for my PC. In the meantime, this is the official website, so you can use it for your own. Yes, it's very similar to lenses. Absolutely. It's absolutely very similar to lenses, and it's really cool, but no one knows it. No one knows it, no one uses it. It actually is an incredible tool for self-brainstorming, and it's so cool. And it's so cool, and it's free, and it works because it's being used by, I don't know, like 60 years by engineers all over the world. And and no one uses it. And that's something I wanted to write in the book, because this is a very practical things that you can do. It works, and of course it's not loading right now. Let's try this. Oh, okay, yes, I have it. Okay, just give me share 1 second. Share screen. Yes, I understand. This specific tab. There we go. Show on stream. There. Okay, so this is the tab, and basically these are the 40 principle. For example, strength, and for example, temperature. And okay, let's do 14. So we have a problem connected to strength on temperature. So 14 on 17. So 17 on 14, no, 15, well, 17, there we go. And there are 3 suggestions: flexible shell and thin firms, preliminary action, and composite materials. Now, this might seem okay, Diego, that means nothing. This is very things that are connected to engineering stuff, but it's not really, because strength and temperature can be connected to game design, because strength basically it's the power level of something, and temperature it basically means the breaking point of something. So strength, so how something is strong compared to how something breaks. And the suggestion, for example, for this flexible shell and thin films. So making something more flexible. And that's already an incredible suggestion for fixing a problem. Something is too strong, make it flexible, which means make it not always as strong in certain situation and not as strong in other. Then another suggestion is preliminary action. So maybe something is strong only if you prepare for it, or maybe something can be reduced the breakness point if you prepare for something. Maybe it's a progression system. Maybe it's a way in which I can buff my weapon. I can go to the special NPC, buff my weapon. That's the preliminary action I have to do in order to get the strength. Or then is composite material, which literally means I can make my weapon, might make it stronger and in a composed way. And this is literally a tool. And I did self-brainstorming with that. Taking 2 problems. Of course, you don't take 2 problems randomly. You should try to see what are your problem, the, let's say, closest equivalent on the matrix, and then check the suggestion. But that's it. It's a tool, and it's a tool that comes from engineering, Russian engineering. No one uses it, and I use it all the time. It's so good. It's so easy. It really make you think, and it suggests you a way to think out of the box, which is, let's say, very similar to lenses. But while I love lenses from the book, The Art of Game Design book of lenses, which I actually have the lenses deck. The lenses deck is random, so you kind of like have to constant take out lenses and try to hope to find the right one. Since this is a matrix and you can check the principle, you can try to find the right spot. Loving the fresh cat. Thank you. Always nice to receive compliments, so I will not complain about it. Okay, so if there is other question, in the meantime, I will continue to the concept in general of the book. Of course, feel free to write question on the book in general, anything, always happy to chit chat. As I say, it's like Q&A. The next one will be more like on a specific topic. But okay, so the book. As I say, the start of the book is about what I believe, what few friends of mine believe is let's say, the modern game design, which is very different from the romantic version of it, which is very different from the how can I say, from the original version in some way. The one that the game designer job that came out when gaming started. The industry evolved so much from that moment, but there is still like romance idea about what game designer is. Well, I think it's wrong, because no one have a romance or a romanticized way of thinking of game programmer, but they still have this vision of game designer. So I think it's It's important to move out of it. Um, a question from Arius. In your book, you speak about game economy or monetization strategy. Great question. No, not game economy monetization strategy. This will be my second or third book. The editor is super happy with this book. Not, as I say, it's not only selling because it isn't sold even, like it's in pre-selling, but he's happy about the content. He thinks he likes the way I wrote, I guess. So we're discussing about the second, third book. The second could be or game economy and monetization. I wanted to focus on monetization strategy because I really believe that there's an enormous potential on monetization that isn't expressed, and I want to write it. But they also suggest me to write a book on basically indie and how to be an indie and things like that, and that's very interesting too. So I'm evaluating. Basically, I will decide this January. Hopefully, it will not take as long as this book, but it will probably, because I have like many things to do. Mattia, hi Diego, hi Mattia. Congratulations again, thank you. Can we have a small spoiler about the cake section of the book? Well, that is the last game design oriented session of the book, but yes, absolutely, don't worry. As I was saying before, in case you just joined, something that came out doing the writing of the book is that I slowly discovered that cuisine is a great metaphor for game design. For example, one of the examples that I give is the cake, is the concept of target audience. I could create the best chocolate cake in the world, the absolutely most delicious chocolate cake in the world. But then if I give this chocolate cake to someone who doesn't like chocolate, he will not eat it. He will not buy it. He, she, they, of course, that's not a gender thing. They will not enjoy it because they don't like chocolate. And that is the concept of game design at the end. Is like you can make the greatest game ever, but there is no such thing as the greatest game ever because it's linked to your target audience. If the target audience likes chocolate cake, a chocolate cake is fantastic. If your audience is allergic to chocolate cake, and this is a metaphor for, of course, accessibility, or simply your target audience don't like chocolate cake, they will not buy, they will not enjoy it, they don't like it. So in the book there is lots of culinary example, and most of them are cakes because I like cakes. It's just what it is. I just enjoy cakes, any type of cake really. So at the end, I decided to add this basically one page section, which is more like a joke, a funny joke, kind of like what Ralph Costner did with this book. And basically, it's a recipe for a cake. It's just a recipe for a cake because I talk so much of cake that it would be unfair to not even give you a recipe for a cake. So you can actually make a cake while reading this book. But as I say, it's more like a joke section. It's one page. It's something that naturally emerged out of the book. So you will not learn much of cake, sadly, in this book. The second, going back on the book, as I say, as always, feel free to write any type of question or anything. The second section of the book is more about basically analysis tool, how to understand your target audience. Oh, okay, sorry, there's a question. I always prioritize question, of course. Alec 1688, maybe you already mentioned, when does the book come out and how much should it cost? Okay, great question. The book is technically already out in the sense that you can already buy it if you want in pre-order. Now the physical copy, it will arrive if someone buys it now in January. Otherwise, you can just wait January, like mid of January, and you can just buy it, and you will instantly receive the copy. You can buy it from the website that I give you, or you can find it on Amazon. You can take this code, but this one only works on the website that I sent now to get a 20% discount. How much does it cost? Basically, if you take the paperback, around £30, 35 pounds, because of course with the 20% discount. If you get the hardback, so the one kind of like bigger, it costs basically £100. And if you get the ebook, it's if you buy it, it's still once again around £30. If you get the rental, it can be between £25 and £30. It really depends on how do you want to use it and which version do you want to buy. They are all this. The content is the same for all of them, and the very important thing is to remember to download the support material. That is very, very important. It's free. Everyone can download it. You can download it to check it, how is the writing on the book and things like that. And you also have to check it out, because that's how you do the exercise and then you confront the result. Yes, basically, Diner is kind of like what did happen. It is true. It's kind of like what did happen in the end. Like the last page is basically baked design, but it's only one page. So it's only one, and also it's a very simple cake. So I'm not expecting to make a 3-level cake stuff or anything that that's not what I'm trying to do. David says, so the cake approach is the same of user experience approach. Exactly. Is that it's I try to make the book more understandable, and as I say, I think culinary works really well, because at the end of the day, everyone cooks. Maybe no one is a great cooker, maybe not everyone does cook a lot, but everyone, I think, at least once in their life tried to cook something. Maybe they cooked once again a cake, or just something to eat, or even making a sandwich, or grilling something, with friends and stuff like that. So everyone kind of have this knowledge, and everyone kind of instantly understand, because, as I say, understanding if a game is good or bad is something difficult. It's something interesting, and something that we talk in the book, how to understand if your game is good for your audience. But it's still subjective. While still subjective, because I can like certain taste, I don't like certain other taste, there is a very scientific component. There's bitter, there's sweet, there's salt, there is umami, and there is the other one that I don't remember now. And you can always have that. Some prefer bitter, some prefer more umami, some prefer sweet. There is also the concept of texture and composition. So there's lots of elements that we can all agree, like maybe this food is good, you don't like it, now maybe it's good, or maybe this plate, the way it's served, looks good. And I think it really help to understand better how then to make games, or at least to make design. Yes, absolutely, the cake is a lie, but not. I mean, the cake is a lie in the sense there is no cake in the book, but that's how also the name of the chapter. Chapter 21 is "The Cake is Real," at least in this book. So, Aris, there is something about team organization and best approach to game development and game design as well, like agile. Oh, great question. Not in this book. This book, I'll say, is it's very specific on game design. Eventually, I want to write something on game production. This one doesn't touch game production at all, honestly. Not because it's not important. It's incredibly important. It's incredibly critical. I had the limit of pages, which is 300, and I couldn't add everything. Originally, it was supposed to be there in the first, let's say, draft that I sent of the index. It was supposed to have a part on production, agile techniques, the 80-20 rules, how to use the velocity in the correct way, not in the wrong way, how to do prediction, how to understand how to cut, and so on, and all these type of things. But I basically finished the page with documentation. When I reached the third sector of the book, which is documentation, how to make documents, what are the golden rules of documentation, what are the most common type of documents design make, what they are used for, and stuff like that. The pages were over. Maybe in the next one, I will ask for more pages, But then once again, I don't want to exactly do this. While I absolutely love this book, it's true what the chat was saying before. It's literally, this is a book that you can't go around with it. You can't read it on a train. It's just too big. It's just massive. It takes so much space. It's so heavy. And I wanted the book to be a bit more, let's say, user friendly, basically. Uh, Iris told me that the book in the digital end of December, 43 euros. Okay, yes, it makes sense because I was saying pound. In digital, okay, in digital, yes, end of December. I was talking physically. Otherwise, as I say, you probably can buy. I don't know if my discount code does work on Amazon. They didn't tell me that, but you can try. Worst case scenario, it doesn't. Will you present your book in any city? Not specifically in any city. In the events, I'm as like nowadays basically it's the end of 2022 and start of 2023 is usually the time in which I try to basically book myself for events. I want to try to go to Reboot, to DevCom, to Nordic. In 2022, I went in Canada, I went in Tel Aviv. I also went to the previous edition of Nordic. So I will present it basically in video game events, not specifically in cities. Also because I think it's while yes, the game industry is big, this is a very technical book. It's not specifically like a novel that can like everyone, that everyone can enjoy it. I think this book can be enjoyed by undergraduate designer, actual designer, people who are interested in game design, or people who is interested in user experience design or any form of design. But at the end of the day, it's that. If you are like I don't know, a coder, and you are zero interested into design because you like coding, there's nothing wrong with that. It's probably is not the book for you. I don't think that is the book for you. But if you are interested in design in general, or at least let's call it interaction design, because once again, if you are designing in the sense of purely visual design, no, not so much. If you're interested in interaction design, so the way in which there's a machine or a user, or a machine and a user, any kind of combination of that, or more users, this something can be interesting. Well, thank you, Arius. Thank you so much. We are gamers here. We will choose the physical version no matter what. Well, I'm gonna have the physical version. I do prefer a physical version for books because I'm one of this person that does that to book. I know that like everyone gonna like cringe now, but I still do that. I don't know if you can see it. Kind of like orecchietta in italiano. I kind of like pinch the side of it, and it actually helps me because these are the parts usually I'm more interested. I go back and reread that and things like that, and so that's something that like I do prefer in physical. Although there are a few books they have also in digital. For example, I have the lenses of Book of Lenses of The Art of Game Design Book of Lenses. I have actually the physical lenses, but I have the digital book. So the physical lenses, but the digital book. Other digital book they have are basically all production book they have, like Agile, Scrum, feature team versus production team, all these type of things. I do have in digital. Do you think you will add your book as a tool in your future academic course? Yes, but only at the third year. Only at the third year because, as I said, the approach that I went on this book was not focusing on production or the game industry, not because it's not important. Once again, it was a limit of pages. And I think in the first year, at least with the pedagogic methodology that we use in IVE, we start from zero. We literally start there. You have no idea what is the game industry. You have no idea what is the game design. You have no idea of anything on production. You just like games and you think that you might want to work in games. That's also the reason why in the first few months of the course, some people leave because they discover, hey, my idea of what was working in game is very different from what is in reality. So I'm not interested. So yes, I will want to do it, but in the third year, when they have a better understanding of what's the industry, what really means production. Because as I said, this book does not cover those elements, and therefore I think it can be problematic or at least counterintuitive with the pedagogic system in AIVE. What other game design book do you consider necessary seminary reading for everyone interested in the topic? Oh, fantastic question. Alta Mistral. Hopefully, once again, I didn't butcher your nickname. Absolutely think that Challenges for Game Designer of Brenda Romero, absolutely fantastic book. The Art of Game Design from Jesse Shell, absolutely fantastic book. 21st Century Game Design from Chris Crawford, fantastic book. And then there are a few other, like 3, maximum 4 books that I suggest based on your specific interest. For example, this one, if you're really interested into system design and game economy, the Zimmerman book, which is Game Rules, if you are very interested to the academic, purely theoretical approach of gaming. Or, for example, there is how it's called, architectural approach to level design, if you're interested in level design more than game design, or simply interested in level design. What else? Well, there are also production books that are like, for example, I think Creativity Inc. From Ed Cadney, the creator of Pixar, is really good if you like or you want to learn how to handle creativity teams. So teams which have creativity at their core. Scrum and The Art of Doing Twice in Half of the Time, both great if you're interested into production, hands-on production. Let me check my book list because I always forget some of them. Kind of unfair to the book that I don't cite. Give me a second. Books. As I say, I have my list of, of books. The Art of Game Design, Challenges for Game Designer. Design with Intent. It's a good one. Game Feel, if you are interested into the neurological aspect of game design and gaming, so more about how the brain works. But it's a very interesting book. Level Up, if you're interested into that. The Ambiguity of Play, it's a very weird book that I don't say that I exactly suggest, but I do not unsuggest either, in the sense that I know it's weird, like the way I say it, but basically The Ambiguity of Play is a very non-related game design book that talk about the concept of play. So what is play in general? We play soccer, we play football, we play games, but what is play? And it's very interesting. It's from an anthropological point of view. And A Theory of Fun from Ralph Kostner is a great book if you are interested very specifically in the concept of fun and the fact that fun as a word doesn't exist. The games are not fun, are just something else which can be generally described as fun. So that's something that might interest you. That's a great book. And then, as I say, there are all the other books are very, very specific on the type of design that you like: system design, economy design, monetization design, UI and UX design. For example, the visual display of quantitative information, the human interface, beautiful evidence, and about face free. They are all fantastic books on UI and UX. Great book. But they are very specific on that, like super specific on UI and UX. If you're not interested into UI UX, those books are not for you. What else? The Scrum Handbook, I told you that. 100 Days Growth book, great book. Game Publishing Agreement, it's a good book about game publishing. So as I say, it's really about that, specifically what type of the same designer you are interested to be, because of course the more you make games, the more you specialize on specific element of game design. And digital versus physical, like Marvel Civil War. Yes, absolutely. If Wallone was here, we'll say, oh no, I'm going to to buy only the digital copy. It's really Civil War. That book hurts to watch. I'm going to have to ask Daniela to get you a Story Mindset bookmark. I know, I absolutely know. As I say, that's why I say some people will have cringe because I know that doing the sign on the book, it's something bad, but really useful because anytime I just go by the marking, and it does work. I have the physical book, but the app for the lenses. Oh, okay, so we are exactly on the opposite side. I don't know why. I just like the lenses. I think the lenses, honestly, are very toy oriented. For the people who don't know what you're talking, is the Art of Game Design book of lenses. So I actually like the toying with them, and sometimes they help me. Just I'm a physical thinker, so I need to move and toy with stuff. I'm certified in Scrum already. Okay, well, in case you don't have any problem with that. Oh, Ryan, hi. Nice to, let's say, digitally see you. Ryan is one of the person that I met in Canada. It was great. Once again, the importance of networking is so incredible. Would love to see future post listing of these books and your reviews. Oh, okay, interesting. Well, I said that's something interesting. Maybe that's something I can add in the future live or in future post. And I thought about it, but thank you for the suggestion. Honestly, this is super, super cool. I will screen it because otherwise I would forgot it. Paint. I never thought it, but yeah, there are lots of books and they're really, really interesting in my opinion. I think, in general, there's no such a thing of a book that I have read that I thought it was useless. I think knowledge is always useful. Maybe you don't apply it exactly like in a flash, but it opens your mind. Will you? We will need a post to keep track of all of them. I couldn't note all of them. Oh, sorry. So I say I'm fast, but I will do with Ryan suggested. I will probably do a list, and you can. Can you repeat the name of the specific UI UX? Sure, I will repeat it slowly in this case, so you can write it down. Just give me a second. So the first one is the visual display of quantitative information by Edward Tafel. Then the second one is the human interface from Jeff Raskin, probably butchered its surname. Then visual explanation, images and quantitative evidence and narrative from, once again, Tafel. Then beautiful evidence, once again from Tafel. I know they're all from Tafel, but is an incredibly UX designer. I mean, also this book, the one from Tafel, are absolutely fantastic to read because they are full of images, but then you explain why these images work. So they're honestly nice to see because the images inside are nice to see. And finally, the last one is About Face, the Essential of Interaction Design from Alan Cooper, Robert Raymond, and Devin Croin. About Face is free. Now, not because 1 and 2 are bad, but because basically these are the revision version. So you can buy the 1, you probably cost less, but has less information than the number 2 and the number 3. So number 3, that I am currently aware, is the last one. Maybe they released the 4th edition. I'm not exactly sure on that. But I read the number 3. It's fantastic, absolutely beautiful. And I think we finished the Q&A because I think, yes, it's 5:01. So I think we exactly did 1 hour and something. So thank you for being here. Thank you for dedicating your time. Thank you for asking questions. Thank you for in general, just saying, even hi, just saying hi was fantastic. So thank you, everyone. You have been super nice. And in general, I will try to continue to do that, both on LinkedIn, Twitch, and YouTube. I tried to make a YouTube working this time, but it didn't work. I have no idea why. We'll see. And yes, stay tuned. I will try to do 1 hour per week on any topic, not necessarily my book, just any topic on game design and stuff like that. Thank you. Have a great day or a great evening, or depends on your time zone, whatever. And see you next time. Bye.